Hello, humans of the internet. Welcome to this level 15 interview with Will, who plays Ardbeg Bruichladdich. Did I say it right?
Close enough. Ardbeg Bruichladdich.
Close enough. I'll take it. So, we are recording this 2 days before the mission that will get you to level 15, the Red Dragon. If this is being released on YouTube and is being watched by people, you survived! Congratulations! If not, oh well.
Got a lot to live for
He
right
does
now.
have a lot to live for these days. So, we're going to talk a little bit about your experiences in the Horde and about Ardbeg and his storylines, because there's quite a lot of stuff there. It turns out, when I started writing questions, I was like, holy shit, dude's had some story things. But I kind of want to start with the fact that Ardbeg is the only member of the current Horde who is also a member of the OG Gallant Horde that we made in Wellington way back when. For people who don't know, that's how the Gallant Horde started, was me in Wellington trying to figure out a way to play D&D with my friends when all our scheduling was shit. And so I invented this thing where you could just like hop in and do a one shot and then not be there next time and then be there next time and not be there next time, and we did that for a bit. And Ardbeg wasn't that. How cool is that?
Pretty cool. That was also my very first D&D experience, so I had no idea like at what it was all about at all. And
Pretty great.
I fumbled through a PDF and made a character, and here we are.
He's still around. Bonkers,
He's
man.
still around.
Okay, so tell me about, you've sort of answered this now. How you found D&D, what it means to you. How did you get to the Horde?
What what I like about D&D, and like I've always been a very casual like gamer. Like I've always had PlayStations and Xboxes and played Call of Duty and all that sort of stuff. But the thing that really, and it was that first day at your little flat in Karori,
Mhm.
I was just like, wow, this is not just some game where people you sort of go down the path and do the thing. It's like it's way more sort of personal than that, and you've got to roll the dice and you've got to look at the sheet and do math and like it was just fun, and I was hooked from that point. And then I found, well, we did our series of one shots
Mhm.
and things like that, and then there was the Facebook group, and then I found more like-minded people, and yeah, it's just fun, and like for me, and I think this is the same for you, Jax, is like we're very like sort of visual and imaginative people.
Mhm.
So for me, it was like I'm not just playing a movie on the screen, which is like what games are. It's like we're actually part of the story.
Yeah.
And then the Gallant Horde has been a huge extension of that, because I sort of joined it to just do the one shots, and then I got
Yep.
dragged into the
Me
into the
too.
the text RP, and it's like, whoa, there's this whole other thing, and now like you get up in the morning and you check Discord, and it's like, whoa, what happened overnight? Because they're all around the world, so there's
Yep.
stuff happening all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's
24
incredible,
hours
and
on it.
for me, on a personal level, it gave me an escape where there's something else that I could think about that
Mhm.
wasn't real life,
Yeah.
and you can do these amazing things, and the people too, like. So no, I'm converted. I'm hooked. It's like any one of the things that you do, and you're like, oh, I've got this idea. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, okay, sweet as. Let's go then.
Oh, brilliant. I have a lot of ideas that don't go anywhere. It just people only hear
I
about the
know.
ones that do.
I know.
You know, because you hear all my dumb ideas too. Um, cool. So I mean, I suppose it's not. Usually at this point, I would say the Gallant Horde is a very different format to a normal campaign. But you were doing the Gallant Horde before you played a normal campaign.
Yep.
So, but you have done that
It
thing.
was a normal campaign to me.
Yeah.
It's just turning up and drinking some beers and murdering people and stuff.
throwing some vampires out of their tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Um.
let's. Yes, go. What were you
Oh,
gonna say?
you said about normal campaigns. So like, I've played Ardbeg in a couple of normal campaigns now as well. So like,
Mm,
he's basically my only character that I've ever played. So
except for Miss
um,
Eckle.
Miss Echo, the Goblin Librarian. Yeah. Apart from her,
He's gonna be your next Horde character. Uh, gonna
Miss Echo,
just
jeez.
be
So,
promoted to actual Horde member. Anyway,
sometimes I don't even know what she's gonna do. So that just
I mean, I feel like I definitely feel that way about some of the characters that I've. Some of the things Kanan does, for example, I'm just like, bro. But he is who he is, and what are you gonna do?
what's like amazing about the whole thing is when Miss Echo came up and someone needed to play her, I could totally do a librarian. And Brandon sent me the thing of like what Mythical was, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm not going to do any of that shit. And then
It,
now she's just this little psychotic goblin that.
a whole thing.
So are we doing this about Mythical or
No,
Big?
Ardbeg. Miss Eckle is not level 15. If Miss Eckle ever gets to level 15, we will do an interview for her.
That'll be that'll be scary.
It would be scary. Ardbeg.
Mm.
So, he's like the only character you've ever played. You've played him in multiple different kind of worlds in various ways. Um, but we've done some pretty hefty Ardbeg story stuff during your little sojourn in this guild of ours. Um, which storyline would you like to tackle first? Because I can think of three.
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 Um. Oh, let's start at the beginning, shall we?
Cora Cora or Ola Ola?
Oh, I was thinking about the the curse.
Oh, the curse. See, four. I forgot about the curse.
What's the third one then? Jeez.
Hern.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, shit. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's a new one.
All
Let's
right.
leave that one for last. Let's start with the
Okay.
curse.
The curse. So you got this cool sword.
I'll
And
go
that.
on record in saying that because a lot of people remember that mission wrong, especially with the one that we don't talk about.
Uh huh.
But Ardbeg saved the day. He had no idea those ghosts were going to come back, and he would have done what he did anyway because
Hmm.
he was singularly focused on completing the
The
mission
mission.
when
Yeah.
shit was going wrong, and doing that slide move through Artor's legs
That was pretty sweet.
into the barrows and getting the bow, which is now Erden's bow, and picking up a cool sword. That saved the day because otherwise everyone was just going to get possessed and fucked up. And
Hmm.
are we allowed to swear on this? We are, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, cool. So yeah, that was a fun mission, and
Yep.
I loved how traumatized everyone else was. But Ardbeg was just like, I
Whatever.
I got it done, man. Like
Got a cool
whatever.
sword. Yeah.
And then the ensuing things after that were not so great.
It was a great story though, because you had the cursed sword and you had, you know, and I feel like for Ardbeg that was a big turning point in terms of him giving a shit about other people.
Oh yeah, absolutely it was.
Mm.
And the whole thing, like he took out Rianth with that sword, and that was like the build up of the curse.
Hmm.
But it didn't sort of peak then, and then there was a day when a bunch of the babies all went, oh, all of us can take you down, and then that's when I decided that the curse was going to go,
Uh-huh.
and I messed everyone up. But that was like, but Ardbeg didn't know what he'd done
Yep.
because curse,
Yep.
and then yeah, that was a real turning point for him for like understanding that his actions actually carried like real consequences. And
Hmm.
I think it was a learning thing for the Horde and maybe the lady even too about
Yep.
things
There,
that come back from missions.
yeah. There was a lot of cockiness because there hadn't been any failures and nothing had really bad had happened and blah blah blah. And then that mission happened and it was so It's funny because it's not even the worst one when you look at all the missions up to this point, but it was the first one that went really bad. So people remember it to this day.
Some
They say
s-
the word the
some
barrows and this like it's great.
Yeah, it was yeah. So that was the big thing, and then obviously there was that whole story arc about uncursing the sword
Uncursing it. Yeah.
because Ardbeg had this feeling or notion that he had to do some good with that sword, and then
Mhm.
Zook, at great sacrifice,
Mhm.
did his bit with it, and that was kind of cool. Now he's got this sword that can just wail on anything,
Mhm.
and he would not change that. He would not change anything, even the bit where he knocked Juniper out of their wheelchair,
Mhm.
which as a person was kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, Juniper rolls in front to protect Brew, and then RB just takes him out with one hit, and it's kind of like, oh, you're hitting on the disabled kid, like what the hell? Um, but it was all in
But
character, and
yeah.
I condone that out of character, but it was still kind of funny.
It was the uncursing was hilarious because I remember Adam going, "I'm going to do the sword thing tonight," and me saying, "Cool, it shouldn't be too difficult. Zook will be fine. Just don't roll a natural one." And then I went to bed, and then he rolled a natural one.
I think that was like we had people up all around the globe at all crazy times.
Yep.
It was like midnight in New Zealand,
Yep.
and like we had Kit and we had Jackie and
There
all
was a
these
lot. Yep.
people.
Yep.
like
There was
and,
nuts.
and Zook's just saying big, so if I say drop, drop. Oh man, it was out of control.
It was great. So that was the first thing. Then Ardbeg found God, or a God found Ardbeg, more precisely.
Yep.
And she is one of my favorite creations. Talk about characters where you don't know what they're going to do. Ola, she is. I adore her because every time she shows up, I'm like anything could come out of her mouth. She's great.
Yeah. Um she straight off like reminds me of like the Ring movies
Yep.
where the
She kind of looks like that.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Or like The Exorcist or something like that. Just this creepy little
Little girl.
black-haired
Yeah.
girl, and Ardbeg is not a man of God by any stretch of the imagination. So, like, for you to create a character like that was,
I'm
yeah,
very proud of her.
you
I
should
think
be.
I think she's a delight. She speaks in dumb riddles and gets frustrated when you don't understand.
He's not.
Between the cushions. Very clear.
he's not. He's not the dumbest guy in the world, but he's definitely not the smartest.
He's very literal, I think, is the problem, and she speaks in because she's a god, and they speak in metaphors, so she speaks in metaphors, and he's like, cushions, indigo's cushions, no, plainer cushion.
Okay, there's another one.
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel like the indigo chorus story is one thing.
Okay,
It's
okay.
all tied up with each other. Um, so Cora has always been a part of Ardbeg's story, is that right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
Um, any other campaign that I've ever played, she's been just definitely dead.
yep.
Um, and I'm not sure whether I should say this or not, but I'm actually playing a campaign where I'm Ardbeg's illegitimate son to Cora, and he's a ranger. So all that
Oh,
tornado town and everything that
yeah, yeah.
is Ardbeg's backstory
Hmm.
is I'm actually playing a son. So yeah, so that's a thing
Yeah,
as well in like another timeline.
yeah.
Um,
Cool.
and in that timeline, funnily enough, Ardbeg's actually the king of everything.
Oh, yeah, of
Um,
course he is.
because we played the Ravnica campaign,
Yeah,
and he ended up the king of Ravnica, and then yeah,
that's a
so
terrifying notion.
yeah,
Because
because
he's not
he's
not.
not the Ardbeg he is in Gallant Horde at that point, not
Yeah,
at all. Gavin knows about that one.
yeah, yeah.
So I played that with Gavin, who plays Garen the Blessed.
Garen the
Huzzah!
Blessed. Um, so Cora was a passing thing that you planted in my brain, and was a huge part of where Orla came from because she was the whole point was that Ardbeg was like seeking so hard that he called this lost god of lost things to him because
Amazing story.
Will wanted to play a paladin, and I was like, none of the gods match Ardbeg. I'm gonna make one up.
I, I I'll have a point of order there, Judge. I didn't actually want to play a paladin.
No?
Someone just said, "Wouldn't it be awesome if Ardbeg like multiclassed into a paladin?" And I
Oh,
went, me being Mister Don't Know the Rules, I was like, "Oh, could he do that?" And then I looked it up and I was like, "That would actually be kind of cool." So I did it just on a whim. I was
hmm.
like, "Oh yeah, next game I'll take a level of paladin," and here we are.
And then all that happened.
What
Um, so the whole Indigo Cora thing, that had people on the edge of their seats. That had people staying up at night to see how that was all gonna transpire. See, tell us about that situation.
Where do you want to start with that?
I
Like,
don't even know. I don't even know.
because oh man, like Ardbeg was just in the pub one night, and this Fey moth rogue turns up, and I can't even really properly remember, but I think it was something like they took a pass at Garen maybe, or like they were just
Yeah.
out for something, and then that's where Zalostia comes from.
Hmm.
They called Ardbeg Golden, and then just didn't leave him alone.
Yep.
Um,
That's how Ardbeg makes all his friends. They just don't
yeah,
leave him alone, and he eventually succumbs to the friendship.
yeah, that's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. Um, well, I mean that's after the whole. Just quickly going back to the Barrows mission, like I wasn't
Yeah.
even involved in the RP chat, like
Yeah.
chat RP or anything like that, and it was like after that mission, everyone was so pissed at Ardbeg that I had
Hmm.
no choice but to like actually defend myself.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, the one we don't speak of, the little gobshite, um, bludgeoned me to death with friendship, and then that's
Yep.
it. So, but yeah, Indigo, and they connected over loneliness,
Hmm.
um, and mutual loss, I guess, and became friends. And Ardbeg was always resisting the lover thing of it,
Hmm.
but like I said, they just wouldn't leave him alone, no matter how shitty he was. And there were some real big moments where he was
Yep.
just a dick, and
Hmm.
they were a dick, and bah, and a lot of like
Drama. Very drama. Whew.
they are the drama.
Hmm.
Um, and like I love Shauna Lee, man. She plays
Hmm.
such a good character. Like she really, that character is perfect. But just wore him down, and then they became an item, which was fine because Ardbeg was convinced that Cora was dead.
Hmm.
Then one night he gets a call up to the war room,
Hmm.
and Gur, because he's at this point has asked for, people have put ideas in his head that, well, you never, you were never sure Cora was
Yep.
dead, and all that sort of stuff, and dearest Naya offering to like send her a message, which now we know is a big no-no. Um, messaging people outside the room, but he never wanted to do that because he wasn't prepared at any of that point to actually know. But he went to the lady and he
Hmm.
asked, "Is there anything you could do to find out for sure?" Because he trusts the lady,
Yep.
trusts Gur, and he left it at that. And there was all this time where people were like, "Oh, you've asked the lady, have you heard anything? Have you?"
Yep.
And he's just, "No, I'll hear when they know something. Like, leave it alone." But still, that was him trying to, I guess, trying to reconcile with himself that maybe the answer is going to be the one that he thinks is the right answer, but was also one that he's not prepared to hear.
Hmm.
So in that time, he had this romance with Indigo, um, and then yeah, the war room happened, and that was an epic scene. Like, oh, like I think that I can keep RP and real life sort of separate, but there's times when like you're
Yeah.
like sitting, and, like someone types something, and you're like. Need to take a
Yep.
breath before I respond to this, and that was one of
Yeah.
those nights. Like, I was like, my heart was in my mouth. It was crazy, and I was like, I never thought that you guys would actually write that into the story. I thought you'd be like, "Oh, yeah, no, we found her and she's been dead for 3 years. Sorry about it. You'll be
That's
right."
that's that's a boring conclusion though.
Well, yeah, it is,
There's no
but
story juice in that. Especially after the I have to tell you that I freaking agonized about it because I was like, Indigo is gonna be so heartbroken when this happens. But I was like, but this feels like the right story, so I just did it.
well,
Just
it's
did it.
also torturing Ardbeg because then he's got a dilemma on his hands as well.
Yep.
So it was excellent. It was so good for the story because
Mm.
I was Ardbeg was trying to resist like the temptation,
Mhm.
but then he was so goddamn lonely and no one really.
Yep.
There were people liked him enough, and he'd done those things to like make things better after the curse, but still he was kind of in there like,
Yeah.
I sit out on my porch and drink beers and no one comes by, sort of thing.
Yep.
Um, Loneliness, basically, at the crux of it, and Indigo had that as well.
Mhm.
And I can't wait for Indigo's level 15 interview.
Yep. That's gonna be fascinating.
Um,
Especially after last week's mission.
oh, and the one before.
And oh yeah.
Um, so then, yeah, so then Cora's alive, and Ardbeg's whole world changes. Like
Yep.
everything he wanted and has hoped for by talking through the star, which was actually talking to
Yep.
a creepy little girl god,
Yep.
um, becomes like it's just out of his reach. But then he's still got to play it cool and be like, not out of the woods yet. Like,
Mhm.
we think she's alive, but we're 6 months or 6 weeks or whatever it
Whatever.
was
Yeah.
behind her, the intel from Gur. And he's like, okay, okay, don't get your hopes up. But like, also like, holy shit. Um, and then so he has to tell Indigo
Mhm.
what that was about. And there was that whole like thing about Gur like almost giving it away to Indigo first,
Yep.
which got them on the
It was a yeah. So much of drama.
yeah, and then he basically turns around to Indigo and is like, "We got to stop all this because she's alive,
Mm.
and I can't be doing this with you anymore." And Indigo does not understand that at all. Even though they said they did,
Well,
they
I
didn't.
think they did understand it, but it was still
Raw.
yeah, ouchy. So that was a
Hmm.
whole. And then I dropped the core. That was really funny because I was like, okay, the next game, the next streamed game that Ardbeg is in is when we're gonna do the Korra reveal, and then you pulled out of one. So it took like an extra 3 weeks.
Because sorry, I chose real life going to a lake
I
and having a
know,
holiday.
I know. Bloody hell. And then,
Uh,
yeah, and then I just dropped that on you
and,
at
and
the end of a
posted and
stream.
posted and posted photos all weekend and chat of me like on water skis and catching fish and stuff.
Right, right. I don't begrudge you, but it did stretch the story out longer than I had
Yeah.
previously anticipated. Um, but
See, if you
that's D
just
and D for you.
told me, like,
No,
I would have
boring. Then
cancelled
then
the
I
trip.
wouldn't have got that awesome deer in the headlights look when I was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" It was amazing.
I think you should explain that to the folks watching. Like, that was so good.
So because I don't even remember which mission it was. It the the Lycan hospital mission, right?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is much fighting. Ardbeg is covered in blood and bits of were creatures. And the lady says,
And the arcane cannon.
and
Remember?
the cannon. That's right. You had the cannon with you. And the
That was
lady's
so good.
like, he's a
He,
mess. And the lady says, well, we know where Cora is. We found her. She's fine. She's alive and well and living in this little village in the middle of nowhere. What do you want to do about it? And he goes, I want to go there right now. So she goes, okay.
Bamf.
Bamps him straight there. He doesn't tell anyone he's leaving. So Indigo's sitting on his porch waiting for him to come back from the mission, and he just doesn't show up.
They cooked him beef stroganoff as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
Oh.
Um it doesn't tell Eden that he's leaving, and that's a whole thing in itself. Doesn't tell anyone, just goes. Poof, gone. And the lady doesn't think anything of it because I think there was also a bunch of other shit going on. Like so she was like, okay, well, that's that dealt with. I'm going to go and deal with the next thing that is a problem for me. Doesn't occur to her to tell people because, you know, she
Ah,
has
big,
bigger
big,
fish to fry.
exactly. But what I did on stream,
Oh
what
my
I didn't
God.
actually realize, because we still all had the people who had played the game in
Oh,
the
yeah.
chat and
Yeah.
stuff,
No, yeah.
I thought that she just dropped that on them,
Nope.
like, because I was so shocked as a person,
Yeah.
and I was
She
like,
waited till everyone left. So it was just,
and I was like, why is nobody telling people? Like,
because
because
they
they'd all
didn't
left, but
know.
I didn't, Will didn't catch that bit, and I was just like, why is this such a big surprise that he's just gone again? Because everyone in the chat was like, like me, like I've watched that back, and Kyle's face was the best. Like he's just like, so good.
It was
Um,
amazing. It was a great moment.
and then you like said, "Do you want to do this on stream?" And I was like, shaking hands, like, it was epic.
It was
And
good.
then it's like, okay, so we'll go to the Home Leave channel
Hmm.
in the Discord. And by the time I like got off stream and went and had a drink and like calmed myself, I went back and then there's just like a stack of
Yeah.
those eyeballs.
Everyone was
Like
watching.
everyone was watching. It
Yep.
was insane.
It was crazy.
Um, and he
Come
convinced her to
back.
leave that shitball doctor.
He wasn't a bad man. He was just the wrong man.
There's a couple of
Um,
times that like the other thing that happened is my like DMs lit up of people like, "What are you gonna do, man?" Like, what, like that. It was crazy.
cool. You know what? Honestly, as a storyteller, the fact that people are so invested in these things makes me so happy. It's so great.
That surprised me too because I kind of like think that Ardbeg's like he's just a basic fighter, and there's all these like amazing races and different like
Yeah, but
classes and things like that now, and he was just a base fighter. He was a champion. I didn't even have like I had the basic D&D Beyond when I built him,
yeah.
and so he's a champion because I didn't have any other options
Mhm.
because I was too cheap to pay for it. And then he's multi-class into paladin, which is kind of cool. But it's like I don't. It blows my mind that people think Ardbeg's story is actually that interesting.
Mm.
And I think the only reason it is that interesting is because I've played him as a character for so long, and there's been so many different twists in the
Yeah,
road and different. So like he's got a solid backstory,
yeah,
and it just sort of tweaks to his surroundings.
yeah,
But like the fact that we had people all over the world like putting those eyeballs in that channel just because he's found his long lost love
yeah.
it was really heartwarming and humbling actually. But then it was also kind of like, "Fuck, have you guys got nothing better to do?"
The answer is no.
The
This
answer
is
is
the
no.
best thing.
Um, it was real cool. It was so cool, and
Yeah.
like, yeah,
And then Cora came back, which was great.
when Cora came back.
And everything settled down for a while. And then you decided to go and find her in the hunter.
Well, I didn't. Urla did.
Oh yeah. But yeah, the problem was she was like, well, you found the thing that you were looking for. Guess I better find you something else to look for. And then it was Eden's parents, but then that got resolved really fast. And you
He was
didn't
on the
figure it out.
he was on the right path of that. He just didn't know how to handle it. Like,
So yeah, she was like, okay, well, I guess the next best thing is, and there's some other game reasoning behind the whole her and the hunter thing. Like that was me weaving stuff in, which is not to be revealed yet. I assume that's secret squirrel stuff.
well, by the time this airs,
This
if
is
Ardbeg survives, that'll be canon.
oh yeah, but this is going to get aired before Allegor, so you won't have a lot of time unless you want to make this the reveal of that particular little nugget of information.
Well, are you going to kill Ardbeg?
We'll see. And we won't run this interview if we kill Ardbeg.
Well, okay, so I guess we can reveal it here then.
Yeah. Go on then.
Is that okay? So after this mission on Saturday, um, will be levels 15 for Ardbeg, which is why we're doing this interview.
Mhm.
And as his multiclass in Pally, he is taking his level 3 of Paladin, which means he's taking an oath.
Mhm.
And with his ancient god Ulla, he decided that Oath of the Ancients is the best thing for him,
Mhm.
particularly with his sort of affinity for nature and whatnot. And I definitely read all the oaths quite heavily before I made
Yeah.
this decision. I whittled it down to 2, and I sent it to you, Jax, and said,
Yep.
"Hey, this is what I'm thinking, and this is one that I'm favouring."
And Jax went, I have a little story nugget that I'm trying to figure out how to bring in. This is a good way to do that.
And there we are.
And there we are with Ardbeg in a forest, in the snow, in Icewind Dale somewhere,
Right.
talking
And
to an ancient archfey.
if anyone was ever less qualified for that sort of task, it is Ardbeg.
Think so though. I honestly think because of the kind of character that I have in my head for who Hearn is in my archfey lore, because mine is only slightly what it is in other places. I definitely take what I want and throw the rest out and rewrite bits. Um, Hearn would not have reacted well to someone who was full of their own self importance. He would not have reacted well to someone who thought that they knew everything.
Mm.
I feel like actually Ardbeg was the perfect person because he's humble and he's not, you know, too big for his boots, as he likes to say.
Or his other favorite saying, which is "ego kills talent."
Yep, yep. Like that whole worldview suits the way Hearn sees the world quite well. So it was actually it worked really well.
That was super fun as well. Like, 'cause it's like everyone's like, "Where's Ardbeg?" He's out there like hunting wolves and
Yep,
catching falcons and
yep.
knucklehead trout and doing, and then
Ice
like
berries.
prepare iceberries. Yeah, man, I almost failed on that. Jesus. Um,
Yep.
that and the falcon were the ones that I was most worried about
Mhm.
because I was like looking at Ardbeg's stats, going, "Ooh, don't know."
Yep. It worked though.
Got very lucky with a couple of rolls there. But yeah, like that was as a way to like work that story of
Yep.
why he takes his oath. Um, with Ula being their old god, and
Yeah.
then
And then that connection with the
with a
yeah
archfey.
ancient
I had I had
nature person.
yeah, I've actually got in my notes, like, I recorded each thing that he turned up with each night. This is like, this is gonna come up eventually, and, like, either Indigo or Shonali will ask me about it. So,
You know it.
like,
Although I guarantee that Shawnee read that entire thing and has notes on it already, so you know.
yeah, but she'll quiz me on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Amazing.
that yeah, that was super cool. Then so he's gonna take the Oath of the Ancients, um, and then we'll see what happens from there. I know what I'm gonna do with my levels, but I don't know if I wanna say any more than that,
That's
so
fair. I'm cool with that. You never know what will happen. Story
no.
curveballs are a thing. Clearly.
Well, alls I know is that I can I was actually surprised because Ardbeg thought he was doing this for the lady, not for himself.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. And then
Yep.
when he gets back and says that Hearn gave me this
Hmm.
horn and I can blow it any time and he'll come to my aid, he sort of wanted the lady to say, "Okay, that'll be awesome when we're like running
Hmm.
up the steps of the
Yep.
whatever the courts are called, the Feely courts."
Feely. But yeah.
Yeah. Nobody doesn't know. Like,
Abba
um,
does well apparently.
whenever Ardbeg doesn't know something, that's because Will doesn't know it. That's 100%. Like, but yeah, when they're like, he thinks that he's going to run into battle and like blow the horn and then sick Hearn onto his
Yeah.
brother. But then the lady's like, "Oh, that's your decision to make, like when you
Mhm.
blow that." And I was
Yep.
like, "Huh,
Yep. Because he promised it to you, not to anyone else.
yeah, fey deals.
Mhm. Wording, it's important.
It's important." I beg will do it at the right time for the lady. But the lady should probably try and connect with her brother-in-law because I think he's changing his mind. Ardbeg was very convincing on that.
He was. He was. He got him to think about it anyway, which was more than he wasn't thinking about it previously. He was like, "Fucking let them have their spat. I don't care."
I had such a great line and I never got the opportunity to drop it.
Drop it
Where
now.
I'm gonna do. There was gonna be a point because he was like, "Oh, this and that," and I was gonna say, "Hey, man, spring follows summer."
Oh.
But I also thought that would be like too ego as well for Ardbeg to say that,
Yeah.
like way too confident.
Yeah. No,
So
I think you pitched it well. It was good. All right. We have rambled a lot, and I have asked you none of the things I always ask everyone. So we're going to get through it real fast.
All right,
Number one, what is Ardbeg's current opinion of the lady?
she's the boss.
She's the
Um,
boss.
she's the boss. She's done wonders for him as a person. She's basically she's made him rich than he could ever imagine. He's got the love of his life back, and he believes in her cause. Um, and she's been really kind to him, like a lot of the time, like the T-Rex night, for example, taking him out and telling him some things. So no, he
Letting him
loves the
get bitten
lady.
by a dinosaur. Yay! She is pleased.
She's
Um,
she's she's turned his life around, like
hmm.
just by being,
I mean, I would argue that he's done that.
yeah, with
She
guidance.
just provided the opportunity.
Hmm.
Hmm. Um, in the Horde, who are the people that Ardbeg is particularly close with? Some are very obvious. More interesting question. Who has Ardbeg got no time for? Ardbeg, not
Oh.
Will.
um,
Character.
hey! I love everybody, man. I love everybody. Um, Ardbeg is very close with Indigo, obviously. Um, he's close with Garen, although that has sort of been strained a little bit lately because of things. Like Garen's made his little family, and that's
Hmm.
sort of separate. Um, he's been close with Naya a lot, and Artor. He's on
Hmm.
Jarl Artor's council, so they're all
Council,
close.
yeah.
I'd say he's close with most people. Um, and some of the newer members he's sort of uh, got sort of close with in a way. Who he doesn't have a lot of time for is a weird one for Ardbeg because he doesn't really have a lot of time for anybody, even though he's close for them. Like
Hmm.
if they leave him alone, he will leave them alone.
Yep.
And that might seem like I'm sitting on the fence and not wanting to say anything controversial, but it is kind of true. Like if you walk past Ardbeg and don't wave out to him, he won't wave back. But if you
And he,
wave to him, he'll be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Fair enough.
anyone who like anyone who's like big ego and just thinks they're the shit without good reason, um, that sort of rubs Ardbeg up the wrong way.
Yep.
Um, he didn't have a lot of time for coldness.
Mm.
And that might be like easy picking because Colness isn't around anymore. He doesn't really like Kanan.
Oh, that's fair.
Um,
I can see why he doesn't like Conan.
uh, who else does Pick not like? Um,
Conan is 100% ego. Of course he doesn't like.
yeah, and he's a sailor too, that's another big part of
Well, he likes
it's.
Annabelle just fine.
Oh yeah, enough like enough to get a leg over, yeah, but 'cause that's the other big part of that's how he came to Korra was sailors not doing their jobs.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, no, I think Ardbeg at the root of him is kind of like if you fuck with him, he'll be mad at you. But then it's also like quite canon. I've seen a lot of people say it's like, oh, Ardbeg will say something and he'll be mad, but He doesn't
He'll
hold on to it
get
for
over
very
it.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a
Um,
grudge holder.
not a grudge holder because he comes from a place where you die tomorrow, and if you hold a grudge, you might regret it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, he's had some. He doesn't understand Zanashi. That's the person he doesn't get. So,
I think
I
that is probably not unusual.
yeah,
I
a
think a
lot of
lot of
people.
people don't understand Zanashi.
Yeah, but it's like,
She's built that way. Let's be honest.
yeah. It's just like, how can you marry someone you don't love? Anyway, but that's just his like. But that's the other thing about Ardbeg is he feels these things and he knows them, but he has no way of articulating them because he's not that bright. So he just like internalizes them and then leaves. He goes,
Mhm.
"Oh, that's not worth me thinking about anymore."
Yeah.
Um. So, who else doesn't he like? No, I can't really think of anybody like. Um.
See that because he doesn't put that much effort into not liking people, I guess.
Seems like a waste of time to not like
Yeah.
someone for him.
Yeah.
Because there's so much stuff he could be doing, and he
Yeah.
likes doing stuff.
To be honest, that's me. I'm like that, so I get it.
Yeah,
I
and
can't
and
I
and
can't
that's
put a
that's
lot of
especially
effort.
that's especially become more prevalent since he's changed his ways, I guess. Like when
Mm.
when he used to just brood in the pub and sit there and fall asleep face down on the table and
Yep.
then not talk to anybody because he was so heartbroken and mad and
Yeah.
angry and all that sort of stuff. Now he's
Yep.
changed that.
Yep.
He's like, oh, I don't have to be angry at everybody anymore. And like he's even changed, like he won't spar with people
Yep.
in the directly, like he won't go one to one with someone in
Yeah.
the arena anymore because
Mm.
he saw that he was hurting people for no real good reason.
Yeah.
Um there's a particularly heavy scene where he beat the shit out of Naya.
Yep.
Um and he was trying to goad her into like actually being offensive rather
Mm.
than defensive, and she pasted him.
Yep.
And then she got all upset. And he's like, "Don't be upset. Like, I did that. I
That's what
made you
we
do that."
yeah,
But
this
then that
is
changed him. He's like, "Why am I doing this to my friends?"
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that was a sort of change in as well. He's a good boy now. He's a good boy now,
Yeah. He was
and
always a good boy. He was just sad.
he's got his girl back, so that's been huge for him.
What has been your favorite mission? Yours will, and also maybe yours Ardbeg, because they might not be the same
Phew,
so far.
that's a good question. Um, Now I have to
Uh,
remember all the missions.
Difficult question, apparently.
um, so my favorite for me was probably the Barrows mission
The
for
Barrows. Yeah.
for me, Will.
Yeah.
And I'd probably go as far to say that that was Ardbeg's as well, because it set him on this whole new.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it was a changing point from the other one that sticks out in my mind was his first mission where we went to
Oh,
Carlisle's.
the carpet. Yeah. That
Yeah,
was funny
and
because you just jumped in on that one, didn't you?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like 10 minutes before or
Yep.
something, and it was like, oh, someone's pulled out, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm up, and I was like, boom, jumped it. Because at that point I'd just joined the Horde,
Yep. Nobody knew
and
who you were. That was
the
great.
the the missions were booked up for months, and I was like, man,
Yeah.
this is going to be an easy level.
Yep.
And yeah, that's probably Will's favorite mission. I'll change that. I can change that, right?
Yeah.
Um, because I jumped in and there was all these people I didn't know, and
Yeah.
it was people with American accents and stuff, and we were talking, and like there was two fighters on it. It was me and Rianne,
Yep.
and I'd big got bored of shoveling horse shit, and it was like, right, like they made us put us to work, and I was like, what the? This isn't
Yep.
what's supposed to be on. Anyway,
That was
me
good.
and Rianne just decided to hit people, and that set off the alarms, and all hell broke loose. But then we
Hmm.
got it done, and I was like, yeah, see all this pussyfooting around, and you just hit stuff, and it gets stuff done.
Uh-huh.
That was when he was still a murder hobo.
Yep. I feel like there's still some murder hobo in his heart of hearts. All right. What are you, apart from the dragon, which I know you are excited about, what are you looking forward to in the future? You have 5 missions to go. When we air this, you will already have done the dragon. So you have 5 missions to go. Is there anything that you're particularly like, man, I've got my eye on that?
Well, Ardbeg just before going off to seek her and the hunter, proposed to Cora. So there's wedding bells in the air.
Mm-hmm.
He's very much looking forward to that. His pub that he acquired when we went and got
Mm-hmm.
Artur's moose,
Yep.
which he was putting money aside to try and buy a pub, and then he got gifted one,
Yep.
which was
Pretty
pretty
sweet.
cool. Lucky Mike studied the source material better than I did on that one.
Uh-huh.
So he's got this pub that he's building with Cora, and he's got his whiskey brand that he's starting. That's funny how that all turned out as well, because he bought Brew a
Mm-hmm.
still so she could make whiskey because he didn't know
Yeah.
how, and then she left. He's like,
So
"Could she
now
leave
he
the
did it.
still behind?"
Yeah.
And cost him 1,500
Yeah.
gold, and he's not going to let that money go to waste. So he's doing that. That's what he's looking forward to in terms of the Horde. He's very much looking forward to being part of the legend that'll take the lady back to her rightful home.
So not so much any upcoming missions. You eye on the prize. In
Oh
game.
yeah, in game, in game. Larian's arena sounds
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Fighting arena. That sounds like
That's his jam.
he's not so much looking towards the Medusa mission, because I think he's way out of his depth there. And he was a fill-in on that mission, and I was like,
Yeah.
someone else fell out, and I was like, oh, I'll do it, because there wasn't many missions to be had, and I needed something booked in.
Mm-hmm.
So dude rolling around with a big ass sword and adamantine plate to try and get a Medusa to ally, but luckily we've got Indigo now.
Yep. Yep. Indigo's good at that stuff. Um, is there anything we haven't done in terms of missions that you would be interested to see us do? In terms of like a kind of mission or something? I don't know. Anything.
Nah, I think you guys have got it pretty spot on. To be
See, I
fair
like
with
this question because it normally gives me ideas. Don't tell me I'm doing it right. It's boring.
the um less fey bullshit, more just fighting. There you go.
Bullshit's the whole point.
No, no, it
You're
isn't.
fighting a dragon. I gave you a
Yeah,
dragon
yeah.
on your birthday weekend too.
Oh yeah, it's nearly my birthday.
Not yet. Almost.
Yeah, no, no, I think the missions are really creative. And what would I like to see in a mission? I don't know, maybe like take some of the stuff out of the source material, like I did with the Lonelywood trip.
Yeah.
Take some source material stuff and then just flip it on its head, so that
I mean, I do that a lot.
okay, so you're already doing that. I don't know then. I don't know. That's a
Well,
hard
all the
question.
Fae stuff is like the Baba Yaga stuff is all source material that I've just fucked up.
Who's
There's
Baba Yaga?
never mind. Ask Indigo about Baba Yaga.
I know who they are. I was just joking, but yeah, no, I reckon the missions that you do are real cool. The maps are rad, and
That's
just
all
keep
right.
doing what you're doing. And you've got all the stuff up in your bonds, so just let it
So
flow,
much
man.
stuff in my bonds. Um. So tell me Ardbeg's deepest, darkest secret. Now, does he have any secrets left? Go on.
Oh,
Give me a secret.
only about like that he's the heir to like a large whiskey family, which is where his
Oh yeah.
sigil comes from. That's
Yep.
not many
I,
people know that.
no,
Only
but it
Indigo
has
knows
been
that, and
mentioned. I
Cora.
think.
It
Yeah.
has been mentioned,
Yeah.
yeah. Apart from that, not really anything.
Fair enough.
Cora's got bigger secrets than
Yeah. Cora has secrets I don't think even Kit knows.
that. Well, there's bigger stories. There's bigger secrets of Cora from like my
Oh yeah.
lore on her,
Mm.
namely her last name.
Oh.
But anyway, that'll have to be fleshed out in the story.
Yep. All right. We have
Kit
gone
knows that,
long.
by the way.
We have. I know all the secrets from between when you lost her and when you got her back. That's the stuff that I know.
Yeah.
that Kit has a few bits of, but not all of it. All right, we've gone long
Just
because
leave
you
us alone. Just leave us alone. Just let us live here for hereafter. Please, Jax.
um we have rambled longer than we were supposed to because of course we have. That's not surprising. Um but yeah, so this will air before the Allegor mission, assuming Ardbeg survives the dragon mission. And does not
You
become
wouldn't
toast.
you wouldn't kill him on his birthday, would you?
It's not his birthday, Will.
It is actually if you go back in the story. Because
Uh,
that's how he got on the mission.
oh, all right. The dragon doesn't care.
Dragons never care.
Um, yeah. So this will be airing before the Allegor mission. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you should immediately go to Twitch and watch Will play Ardbeg and try to make a Medusa be his friend, which should
I'll
be
be
fun.
standing quietly at the back until someone tells me to do something.
Yep. Yeah. So do that. Thank you for bringing Ardbeg to the Horde. I feel like he has been a massive asset to the storylines.
No,
And
thank
it's
you.
awesome. And plus, thank you for the amount of cool shit you make us. You've made us cool maps and like stickers and all sorts of cool shit, and it's awesome. And I appreciate it. And
It's
eventually, I'm gonna have the map of the realm on that door. That's my plan. And
it,
our
it,
shield.
it's fun, and it's nice to do design work for good rather than evil. And I'm talking about corporate evil.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like when, and there's been so many times when people have DM'd me and it's like, hey, can you send me the Gallant Horde crest because I want to do this with it, and are
Yeah.
you okay with me using it? And I'll like credit you, and I'm just like, whatever, man. I like it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. Just have it. Like I do this
Yeah.
for fun. Like,
Yeah.
and
No,
I love
it's
it. I love that people are respectful enough to actually
yeah.
ask that. But like,
Yeah.
have at it. Like if I've put it in a channel in the Discord, it's free.
It's pretty magical. I appreciate you and your awesome work.
Oh, love you too.
Um, yes, so that's us for today, I think. Go and watch Twitch, Sparrowbell, Twitch TV, Sparrowbell. That was my slash. Did you like it? Uh, and and maybe Ardbeg is still alive. I guess we'll see. I might kill him on his birthday. I wouldn't. I would never do such a thing, but the dragon might. Dragon doesn't care. Okay. I'm gonna go now. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Will, for being part of the craziness.
Thank
We
you
love you a lot.
guys. Awesome. Ah, I can never do that.
You did it beautifully.